And I want to welcome everyone to another episode of Living on Purpose. This is a special, intimate Living on Purpose podcast. My name is Jesse Herriott, and you probably know me from Unity Online Radio's Living on Purpose. And you can still log on to www.unity.fm. Right click on the program archives and click on Living on Purpose and tune in to all of those episodes, as well as download these and other episodes from iTunes and YouTube. Well, today, folks, I have a very special guest. A very special friend of mine is joining me for a very intimate podcast, and her name is Miss Lynitas Mitchell-Blackwell. Did I pronounce your name right?
That is correct.
Okay, how you gonna be friends if you can't pronounce the person's name, right? So, Lynitas, I just want to welcome you to the program and tell us a bit about yourself for those that are just meeting you for the first time.
I'm sorry, Jesse. Can you repeat your question?
I said, can you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself for those of us that are meeting you, for the first time.
Hello, Jesse?
Yes, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah, Lynitas, tell us about yourself for those of us that are just meeting you for the first time. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I am a Florida original, born and raised in Miami, and I now live here in beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, home of Snowpocalypse 2014. Um, we survived that pretty well. I have been here for about 13 years now and have really enjoyed being an attorney here in this area.
Mm-hmm.
To being an attorney, I was a CPA,
Mm-hmm.
and I am a big volunteer in the community. And one of the things that came to me working as an attorney, as an accountant, working in the community was a common thread of women. We work really hard. We do great work.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't mind really digging in. But when it comes to stepping up and being the leader of any of these organizations,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of run from it
Mm-hmm.
because we say to ourselves, we're not ready,
Mm-hmm.
that we need to fix something, we have to improve upon. We don't just jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it led me to write a book called Leading Through Living, a guide for women seeking growth through leadership, encouraging women, particularly young women, to say, forget all that. You're ready right now because the opportunity is here now. You will do a good job. If you don't know everything now, you'll learn, or the people that you need will come to your life, and you have to just trust in that.
Mm-hmm.
And from the book, that spawned speaking and workshops, seminars, and now my new company, the Leading Through Living Community.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So, let's go ahead, since we're already in there and we're in the core of your work. What got you started on this path? Because you said you're an attorney, you're a CPA, you're a very accomplished woman. What what got you started on your path? Because from the folks that listen to the show and the folks that follow a ton of spiritual teachers that are out there, one of the problems that they keep bumping into, especially in this economy, is that that fear, that keeps you back. Some of the stuff you talked about where you said, you're not ready or you're ready now, and those questions about being ready and having all the answers worked out and having everything mapped out for you. What got you started on your path, to make a long story short, and how did you overcome those hurdles that people deal with along the way?
Well, I got started, I won't say accidentally, but it was not intentional, not at least in my mind. I got out and just started volunteering in the community. First with my alumni association. I'm a proud Rattling, Florida A&M University.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed a webmaster. And so I volunteered. And then they needed a treasurer. I volunteered there. And then not a year later, I was at an AIDS walk here in Atlanta. And I was walking with the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys. And they needed a treasurer. And after a whole lot of working on me, I said yes. And when I got in the position, they needed a president for their foundation.
Wow.
And so I stepped up into that role. Excuse me. And then things just started to really snowball. I joined the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. And at the time, the chapter that I joined was in transition. And so I got involved in that, and I became the president of that.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, really, it was, I would get involved with something that I was interested in. There was a need, and I stepped up. In none of these organizations did I really have the experience that normal folks would say, well, you know, I really need to know what I'm doing first. I just jumped in, and I trusted that I would learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say the best way to get over your fear is to trust that you will learn.
Mm.
I believe that at every point in our lives that we are exactly where God wants us to be, where we are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Even when those places are incredibly uncomfortable. But you know, it's that discomfort that will bring forth incredible reward.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about the process of having a baby, I know you didn't have a baby, Jesse, but you are the father of a beautiful girl. And I'm sure you were there when she was born.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of agony, a lot of pain, a lot of stress to get her here in this world.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet if you were to ask your wife, and any woman for that matter, they would tell you it was totally worth it. And that is what we have to say to our fear, that if I push through this, if I conquer this, if I go through this, that the reward on the other side of this will make all of this worth it.
Right, and that was a very powerful statement. Two things that I took away from what you said. It reminded me of what Susan Cain said. She has a book out called Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Won't Stop Talking. She talks about this idea of gradually exposing yourself to your fear, and you hinted at that, you know, and also you gained opportunity just through service, you know, just through your service and your volunteer work, coming just to be of service, not looking for anything in return. I mean, you amassed some incredible opportunities. So those are two very powerful nuggets that you dropped just amidst all of the nuggets that you dropped in what you just said. So for those that are listening, there are rewards that are available just through service, just through humility, being willing to be of service to the universe. Open your heart, you know, and being willing to share your gifts with the planet. Lynita, you still there?
That's exactly right. And you know, it's wonderful that you mentioned the word gift.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of times we think that the things that we get from God are just gifts to us.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want to experience the full measure of what you can do and the gifts that you have inside you, it's when you give to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen it in my life because the things that have happened, even since I published this book, it was never in my mind to be a public speaker, to start a company where I was coaching or doing seminars and workshops. It was really that I had these experiences to share, and I put them in the book, and I just released it.
Mm-hmm.
And in the release and sharing with other people, they said, you know, this is really good. I want you to come and speak to my organization. Can you sit down and talk with me for a little while about some things that I can do? And everything just grew from there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important that we share all that we have with others. That it's not just for us to just sit there inside of us incubate.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. How did you ever have to deal with that itch, you know, of I want this right now? Because what you said, you talked about publishing and coaching, and like with any business or anything that you're doing with regards to the public, there's a waiting period, you know. But the beautiful thing is when you're doing good work, it's timeless. So it may not come, or the hits may not come when you want them to, but because it's timeless, it will grow on its own like a baby. You know, it will mature and gain followers and gain attention on its own. So if you had to deal with that, or even if you didn't have to and someone else might have, how would you recommend we approach that itchiness that comes inside where we want, you know, hits and attention and speaking engagements right now as a result of what we've put out in the world?
Well, one of the ways that I deal with it is I take one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't allow myself to become stressed out about all the things that are going on, because even if I did allow it, I have a really strong family support system between my husband, my mother, my daughter, and my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
They would bring me down.
Mm-hmm.
So from that, the first thing is you have to have a strong support system. Either it's going to be your family that you're born into, or if you're not fortunate enough to have that with the family you're born into, that you create your new family with great friends and colleagues. I think that once you make the decision that you are going to start walking in your purpose, you have to come to a place where you let your pride go, and that you are willing to tell the world the truth about your story. I actually had an incredible experience these past 2 weeks regarding that. I live on a budget just like everybody else in this world, and I have this opportunity to attend and participate in an international women's conference hosted by the Art of Living Foundation in Bangalore, India.
Oh, wow.
Right. And so I was looking at the numbers, and all the fees were due right around Christmas time. And, I have a 6-year-old. And so this is about our children. And then my whole family was coming here to Atlanta, and so I was hosting them as well. And so I was like, something has to give. And one of my girlfriends said, let's do an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. And at first I was, well, I don't want to really put that out there and ask. But she reminded me, you have not because you ask not.
Right.
And this is a wonderful opportunity, and people will be happy to support you. I'll put it out there, and folks that I did not even suspect would respond sent. And so I'll be leaving on Wednesday. But that never would have happened if I had, not stood out there and said, universe, God, this is what I want. And I'm willing to ask for it, and I'm willing to accept the help when it comes.
Right. Right. So like that famous quote by Dr. King, you don't need to see the next step. Or what's the quote about the staircase? You don't need to see the entire staircase to make the next step.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. One of my favorite movies, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, toward the end of the movie when Indiana Jones had to cross that ravine, and they said that the bridge is there, you just got to step out on it. It was invisible.
Yeah.
And he closed his eyes, and he just stepped out there, and there it was. And they threw dirt on it so that it would appear as they went across. Well, that's exactly what happens, I believe, as we're walking in life. Once you decide that this is the thing that you want, it's not that you're not paying attention to where your feet are going. You just have to trust that there is a path and that it will make itself plain as you go.
Right, right, and that whatever happens, you're strong enough to take care of it. I love that because that's what the title of my show is all about, living on purpose. And it's all about taking control over your life, over your destiny, over your spirituality, because I believe that's why we're here. We're here to give and to share, but not just give unconsciously, haphazardly, but to consciously give and to participate, in this unfolding of our gifts and of our dreams, and the things that we're sharing with the world.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Exactly right.
So let's jump into your book a bit. We talked about your book just a little bit, but what made you write the book at this time? When was it published?
Well, it was published March 22nd, 2013. That was what I gave for my birthday last year, was publishing of my book. And I've actually been mentally writing it for about 6 years. Because I had the concepts and the theories, but not necessarily the experience to support it. Because one of the things that I am much more focused on now when I read books is it's okay for you to toss out theory, but there has to be practical examples and experiences from your own life or people that you know well enough that you know that those experiences are authentic.
Right.
Those are the things that resonate with me. And so when I sat down to write the book, there were two things that I said that had to be accomplished. Number one, that the theory would be sound. But number two, that the experiences had to be relatable.
Right.
And as far as the timing of getting it down, previous to the publishing of this book, I had started and stopped at least 6 prior. And I was like, I have a completion problem here. So how am I going to get this done?
Right.
And what I promised myself is that I would write at least 2 pages a day. And what wound up happening is most days I would knock out at least 4, sometimes 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to finish the book in about a month. And I self-published and got it out there.
Mm.
And the timing could not have been better because I really think that we're in a place now where women in general and people specifically are ready for women to step up and be leaders in our society.
Mm-hmm.
I look at this generation of young people that are coming in now, the way they embrace the cultural differences and the different ways that we think as men and women, and the things that we have to contribute to conversations and just the way that we communicate with one another in general. And I am encouraged. And so I am very excited when I get to sit down or even speak with a group of people about my book.
Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful book. Where can we get a hold of the book? Where is it found at?
You can get it on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. You can go to my website, LynitaMitchell-Blackwell.com. If you get it from me directly, I'll be happy to sign it and ship it to you. You should have it in about a week's time.
Mm-hmm. And we can get a hold of you if we want to book you for a workshop or anything like that, or any other upcoming events. We can find that out via your website, correct?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I have an event coming up on February 16th, Love and Romance, How to Find and Date Good Men in 2014.
Ooh.
And how, yes, because one of the things that I've been running into, I've been happily married for almost 15 years now.
Oh, wow.
And I have many of my girlfriends say, there are just not good men here in Atlanta, in Dallas, and wherever they are. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that because I meet good men every day.
Right.
Quite literally. And then you talk to the guys and they're saying something similar about the women. And I think what it is that women are looking for good guys and they need to be looking for good men. Because there is a difference between the two.
Ooh.
And what they'll be learning on the 16th is the things that you need to be focused on personally to get you ready to be in a relationship. Because a lot of times we think we're ready for something, and then as soon as it presents itself, we do or say things that says that we're not ready.
Right. I totally agree with that. And I think that's very important, especially this area. I've been married for 5 years, and one of the things that I've learned is that when we talk about spirituality, empowerment, and all of those things, it's a holistic entity. It's a holistic process, and these things that we're talking about, this awareness, this consciousness, this way of being in the world, it affects your entire life. You know, our relationships aren't left out and pushed to the side, and we just focus on, meditating, praying, and reading sacred scripture. This impacts our entire life, and I believe that it's not an airy-fairy thinking that your entire life can blossom. Doesn't mean that you won't have your bad days, but you'll have the strength to get through them. And even in terms of relationships, even if you're single, if you desire a mate, through this teaching right here and through your empowerment workshops and the things that you're talking about, it can help us achieve those results and to reach our goals in those areas.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So, Lynita, I want to thank you for joining me for this podcast, and I'm sure there'll be many more. I'd love to get you on to talk more once you get back from the Art of Living thing over there. And where is it at? It's in India?
Bangalore, India.
Bangalore, India. Oh, man, that's going to be amazing. So I'd love to talk to you about that and your experiences there if you'd be willing to share with our audience. And, again, your website is www.Lynita
Mitchell-Blackwell.com.
Thank you so much for joining me, Lynita.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me, Jesse.
And folks, you can find this podcast on YouTube and iTunes, and also check me out at www.jessherriott.com for more information and insights on the latest things that are going on with Jesse Herriott. Thanks again, and you guys have a great day.